Host of Justice with Judge Janine. It's on the Fox News channel. Let's talk about this. Do you think it's smart, instead of fighting through the court system, to just rewrite the whole darn thing?
We know what their objections were. And we also know that even though Don McCann, White House counsel, said we weren't talking about the green card holders or the visa holders, and the court said, well, we don't care what he says. So we knew that had to be changed right away.
Yeah.
And there's no point in litigating something which could be mooted by a new executive order.
Yeah.
And so then they started looking at, in addition to the green card holders, the visa holders, well, let's talk about the fact that there was this criticism that there was a minority, the Christians, that were being referenced in this. And it made perfect sense to me, because in order to be granted asylum, if you are a minority religion in one of these countries, you get a preference.
Okay.
You know, the liberals couldn't deal with that.
No, because they say this applies a religious test.
But asylum allows for a religious test.
Yeah.
If you are a minority religious community and you are being persecuted.
And there's a difference between asylees and refugees.
Right. And yeah, perfect. Very good. And by the way, they aren't just being persecuted for, they're being killed. They're having their heads chopped off. So this isn't, you know, they're not making this stuff up. So to answer your question, yes, start all over again. Does that mean that they'll not relitigate it? They'll sue. Of course they're going to sue.
Yeah. And do you think they're going to do that with every executive order that they find political disagreement with, just force it through the court system?
You know what I think? I think after watching the president's joint session speech, watching Democrats who sat on their tails while the president said things like America first, or, you know, we're going to get back jobs in this country, I am now convinced that there are people who just despise him so wholeheartedly that it matters not what the man says. It may even behoove you.
Well, and you don't have to stand up and cheer. I agree with that. And I pointed that out in my monologue, that, you know, there are certain things that we can all agree on. And we'd like people in this country to have great jobs. You know, we want the economy to do better. Those are our beliefs that no party, they shouldn't. So at least a smattering of polite applause if it's something you minutely agree with, especially in a centrist speech. Now, are you surprised that he didn't talk specifically about Dreamers and this sort of retooling of his immigration stance?
Yes and no. I think he did. I read it into it because he said it's not going to happen without some concessions from both sides.
Yeah.
And you juxtapose that with what he had said ahead of time, which is, you know what, and he's hinted at this for a while. You know, these kids, they're undocumented, but they came here as young children. They were educated in our schools. And by the way, in terms of how he feels about people educated here and then going back to their home countries, I mean, why don't we take advantage of this? So I think that I think he handled it perfectly.
Do you think that Dreamers should be given citizenship?
I think that given that immigration will be one of his signature issues, I think he understands that there are certain things he's got to give on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with Ronald Reagan in '86, when he gave amnesty to everybody, and then so now we're going to end it, and we never ended it. He's got to end it after he makes a decision where he's going to bend a little.
Unfortunately, we have to end this conversation. Come back and see me soon, Judge.
I will.
Always great to see you.
Always great
Judge
to be with you.
Janine. Ow. All right, coming up.
Mayors in several major U.S. cities are defying President Trump when it comes to illegal immigrants and sanctuary cities. Joining me now is Sheriff Thomas Hodgson of Bristol County, Massachusetts. Sheriff, thanks for being here. Now,
thanks for having me, Judge.
It's good to have you back. And we've talked to you a lot on Justice about the issue of illegals and crimes that are being committed. But it seems that with the election of President Trump, more and more mayors are telling the police chiefs and the members of their community that, you know what, don't worry about it. You're going to stand down and you are not going to work with federal authorities. Now, let me make one thing clear. People are always talking about the 10th Amendment, anti-commandeering and all that stuff. We don't expect local authorities to do the job of the feds. But that doesn't mean that you cannot, as a local official, give us information. Correct?
That's correct, Judge.
All right, good. Now, President Trump has indicated he's bringing back secure communities, which is a sharing of information. And by the way, he's also starting a victim program for victims who have been victimized by illegals. And he's going to be putting out statistics of victims who have been harmed by illegals in sanctuary cities. So what is the benefit to the politicians who are telling their chiefs that we don't want you to to work with the feds on this if they want to deport an illegal criminal? And what is the benefit to a police chief who has spent his life or her life fighting for crime victims?
Well, in these sanctuary cities, the benefit to the elected officials is all about politics. It's about votes. It's about the families who are there who have illegal members that are coming into their communities. And these mayors and elected officials using this sanctuary city policy as a way to try to garner votes in favor to them.
So they're pimping for votes. Let's talk about the police chiefs. You're a sheriff. You're different. But a police chief has spent his life, and I've worked with enough of them. I had 43 of them when I was the DA. All right. Each one is autonomous. They, after all the years that they have fought to put criminals in jail, going to say, gee, you know what? I'm going to let this illegal skate. I'm not going to let this American skate. What is that about?
You know, Judge, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that these police chiefs are hired by mayors. Their welfare is dependent on that. But, you know, that's more troubling to me than anything. When we have police chiefs or people in law enforcement saying we're going to allow a certain class of people to be forgiven from abiding by our laws, knowingly that they're violating those laws, to me, it doesn't get any worse than that in law enforcement, and we can't have that. Frankly, I think if we're going to really start to put an impact on this problem, and I commend President Trump for everything he's doing on this issue, he's coming at it the right way, but I will tell you, yeah, maybe you have to take some monies, but some of that might impact some of the people in the community. But if you really want to make an impact and you want to see these sanctuary cities shrivel up real quick, start issuing arrest warrants on these elected officials who are also trying to become a special class of people that don't follow the law.
So what you're talking about is filing a federal charge of aiding and abetting conspiracy, making them complicit in basically harboring these illegal aliens, not just for being illegal. That's not what we're talking. We're not talking about the guy who's cleaning a house or raking the lawn. We're talking about the criminal illegals who commit crimes in this country, correct?
Judge, absolutely, Judge, and it's clearly spelled out in the federal law under Title 8, Section 18, 1324, and it even spells out elected officials. So it's up to 5 years per alien that you attempt to harbor or conceal. We need to send a strong message.
And you never know what's going to happen under President Trump. Sheriff Thomas Hodgson, thanks so much for being with us this evening.
Thanks for having me, Judge. Great to be.
But first, my opening statement. If you're a cop working in a sanctuary jurisdiction, then you're being directed by left-wing liberal progressive mayors and governors to protect illegal criminals who not only violated our laws in coming here, but in addition committed crimes while here. You're being told not to share information about illegal criminals and not honor federal ICE detainers. So, you've got a decision to make. And if this is a tough one for you and you can't figure out what your sworn obligation is, then get the hell out of law enforcement. Think back to the day you graduated from rookie school, when you got a badge and a gun. You earned the right to protect us. We trusted that you understood your mission. We were proud of you. Proud to count you in that blue wall that every day separates a civilized society from a chaotic and barbaric one. Your job? To protect the innocent, follow the truth, arrest the criminal, be true to your oath. That oath is not negotiable. It is not for sale, and neither are you. You knew this when you signed up. And no namby-pamby, bleeding heart, left-wing socialist political whore has the right to demand that you defy that oath. And if you don't have the courage to do what you know needs to be done, then you don't deserve to wear that badge. Take a look at what happens when you listen to these wimps, when you free the criminal wanted for deportation. All of these innocents were killed by illegals. On the right, innocent victims. The left, they're killers. Some accused, others already convicted. All of them illegals who were deported, then came back to the United States and went on to kill after they returned. There are thousands more like them, And every one of those politicians that ordered you not to cooperate with federal authorities has the blood of these innocent victims on their hands. And I hate to say this, but every one of you in law enforcement who bought into this liberal nonsense also has blood on your hands. You would never allow an American criminal to roam freely in your jurisdiction if another law enforcement agency asked you to hold them. Why change the rule and prioritize the illegal for whom there is a want? Why would you release them and not notify a fellow law enforcement agency? If you release the criminal, you guarantee a fellow officer or agent is going to be in harm's way when they go out to find that criminal. To be clear, we're not talking about, nor is anyone asking you to notify ICE about the illegal who's simply working in the field, the waitress, the babysitter, or someone cleaning a house. So what to do? You notify ICE as soon as you can, and I don't care what you have to do to get that done. If you have to do it quietly, anonymously, behind closed doors, underground, through a special hotline, email, or carrier pigeon, damn it, just do it. You instinctively understand danger. It's in your DNA. If you have an MS-13 gang member whose initiation you know requires that he beat someone to death or rape someone in front of his fellow gang members, and you don't tell ICE, you have blood on your hands. Americans have the right to know when they're in danger. Why would you treat an illegal criminal different than an American criminal? Hell, maybe law-abiding states should clear out their prisons and send their own criminals to sanctuary states. Since they're open to taking other countries' criminals, the least they can do is take ours. Can't you see that you're being used in a political tug-of-war? If this is a tough one for you, and you're going to start listening to the ACLU or some liberal mayor who doesn't give a damn about you, your contract, or your oath, directing that you release the wanted criminal alien out the side door, then maybe you should rethink this whole thing and go into social work. You're too damn dumb to be in law enforcement. And that's my